Good morning. Welcome back to Fate Farms, and today I'm going to go over how we're going to get the site preparation for this barn and show you how I use a site laser to set all my elevations and grades. So we're going to try to get all this area within 2 to 3 inches before we put gravel down for the contractor. So you can see the laser here, it has 2 different directions where it has to be set up level. And this thing is very touchy. You can see it took a few seconds there to fine tune it before this little eye here spins and then it throws off a laser beam. This is a percentage to grade level, so we use this on jobs sometimes to shoot elevation for pipe like 2% down, or you could put it on all zeros where it throws a straight laser 360 degrees. So you may be wondering how I got that elevation. So that cone right there is, I found my grade whenever I first started doing all this leveling project for the barn. They call that like a grade pin, or just somewhere where you want to keep like a home base. So no matter where I set this laser, as long as I set this elevation to that area of the cone, that gives me my grade that I'm looking for. So I'm always consistent. No matter what day I show up here, I have a grade pin to work off of. So what I'm gonna do is just go around in a few areas and just see how close it is. And then once I get it close, I'll show you this little jig I made behind a tractor with an old beam out of a house. I welded some stuff on it and then we pulled it around and get everything real smooth. And then I'll run it in several times with a roller. So you can see whenever that steady beep, that means it's on grade, real close. If I go like this, that beep's going like that. So if you go around different spots, see right here is a little bit high, not much. You can see I have to bend it over a little bit. So a lot of times what I'll do is just do a +1. That's just a little code in my head, and I know +1 means it's 1 inch high. If it's low, I'll do an L1, L2. So this one here, see, that's acceptable for me. I mean, it's so close. And like I said, these lasers are so sensitive. You often have to recalibrate them several times as you're going around setting grade if the ground's just a little bit soft. And the way you find out is the laser quits working and you'll go over and it'll be flashing, and then you have to reset it. So right here, this is like low 2 inches. So I'll put an L2, and then I'm okay with it being, like I said, up to 3 inches out. So this one here is good. So a lot of times if it's good, I'll put a circle there just as a even playing field. So when you're on a machine going around grading, you can actually see, like, you know, what you're doing instead of having to pay someone to sit here and run the laser stick for you the whole time. So what I'll do is turn the camera around and we'll check some other locations and stuff over here. And then after that, I will, yeah, it's pretty good there too. After that, I'll get on a tractor, as long as nothing's too far out, and then we'll drag this whole area, try to get it real smooth, and then, you know, that's gonna be pretty good before we put the gravel in. You can see we're a good 60 feet, 70 feet away from that laser, and I'm within an inch, so I'm pleased with that. So I'd put a circle here just to determine when I'm on a machine if I need to put dirt somewhere, high or low. These lasers, if you're not going to do it all the time for a living, it doesn't make sense to own one. But I do believe they rent these at like Knickerbocker Tool Rental. I've seen Sunbelt Rental also rents these. I believe that this particular unit we have is probably $1,500, $2,000, but we use it as a job. So it's like a tool to make our life easier and make the job right, because people don't realize your eye can be deceiving. You know, I actually did most of this by just sight on a dozer, and man, I was way off. That back corner over there, I was probably about a foot low. And then over here, in this corner here, I was pretty far off. So it's just, you know, technology. This is why our economy and everything is just booming, because technology just keeps getting faster and better. I mean, some of these dozers are upfitted with lasers on the blades. The guys literally don't even have to operate the blades anymore. They just go forward and backward, and these lasers, I'll try to find a picture or description and put it in there so you can see what I'm talking about. They actually link to the computer system on a dozer, and then they grade the lots for these operators. So, you know, they say a lot of old school operators know how to run machines. The new guys just push buttons. But I'm just an amateur on a dozer. I've ran one a couple times over the years. I mean, we've owned this one for the last couple years because of this property, but you know, I just do the best I can on it. There's guys out there that could probably do this whole site without even using a laser and be pretty close. So. All right, so we're gonna head back over there, and then I'm gonna check a few more elevations, and then we'll get that tractor fired up. So before I break this laser down and get it out of the way, I just wanted to get a close-up. You could see that bubble has to be inside them lines, and that's what makes that head spin. And then it's all on zeros, so right now it's throwing 360 square. If you wanted to adjust, you can do percentage to grade, and it'll actually shoot a line of percentage to grade laser down. And then this is the other bubble that has to be, you know, intact. This is an older unit. We've had it calibrated several times, and then just because I'm a little bit paranoid whenever you're setting grade, I actually checked a lot of this with a transit. In a transit, you do need two people, someone on the site and someone on the stick, so it's pretty accurate. But just to give you an example, if I move this button here, it's going to throw it out of calibration. See, it's starting to flash. So that, just by touching that little screw there, just a smidge, you can see the real fine threads. It throws it out of calibration. Then you work it back. It's so sensitive. You have to do little turns at a time, or it'll overcompensate and then go the other way. So if I went too much, you could see it's starting to get out of the parameters, and it starts flashing. So I'm gonna bust that laser down, get it out of the way so we don't run it over. And then another thing that we've been talking about, me and Keisha walked back here. You know, right now I have this pad laid out pretty much like 80 by 200. That's way bigger than what the barn's gonna be. But what I like to do is just give any contractor room to work around. So once the building's built, we'll knock that whole ledge down and then regrade the front there, so it's not gonna be so abrupt. But what is gonna be a permanent thing is this back wall. We dug back into the hillside because we want the barn to be built on virgin ground, not fill. And some of the issue is, obviously, we don't know, I don't think that we can swing doing a retaining wall all the way down here. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what that would cost, even me doing it myself, probably $15,000, $20,000. So Keisha suggested that we take this ridge off here and then grade all that back, and then take this dirt on the other side and then make it a little bit more graceful going down over the hill. I mean, I don't want to take any more trees down, but I think that I'm gonna have to take at least that tree down. Or if anyone else has any suggestions, like what we could do with this hillside, even if we dug it back a little bit, is there a certain type of bush or shrub that will hold the hillside there, so we don't have to be on the hillside with weed whackers and stuff? I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna get it to the point where we can mow it. I mean, you'd have to take the grade all the way back there. I mean, that'd be more dirt than what we moved for the pad. That's just not in the budget right now. So that's something to think about. If you have any suggestions, leave a comment down below, and then I'm gonna go get this tractor fired up after I get the laser put away. So we got everything hooked up here. This is that jig I was talking about. This is some equipment chain and a 15-foot beam that I got off a good friend of mine. He sold it to me super cheap, like 150 bucks. It's like brand new. It's really heavy. So my whole theory is I just drag it around with the tractor, and it's obviously a straight edge because it's a beam, and it just goes around and it levels everything. I made this jig up last year whenever I did the field restoration. You can see everything down there, how green and smooth it is. Well, it used to look like that over there. And I dumped tons and tons of topsoil and stuff in little piles down there, and I would just drag this thing around in circles. And the reason why I purchased this stuff to make this was it was just a lot cheaper than my alternative. The only other thing I can come up with was a pull behind box blade, and they're 10-foot wide. Probably would have did a better job, but I couldn't find anything for under $3,000 or $4,000, so it just wasn't in the budget to buy something that wasn't going to be used forever on the property. But here's where we're going to go and drag all this around and give you a little demonstration of what it looks like behind the machine. So I always start out slow so you don't break nothing. So I'm just in second gear. You can see how just makes everything real nice and smooth, and then you'll see the dirt will dissipate from certain areas. That's where it's dropping in and filling in low spots. So once I get up on top here, like I'm coming up on a low spot here, so you'll see on the edge there how it's lost some dirt there. But once we get moving here, I'll put it in a higher gear, and then you'll see how fast this works. I'm trying to do this early in the morning before the sun comes up, because it's going to get really dusty, and they're calling for rain later. So I'm trying to get as many of these little holes filled in as possible so water doesn't lay on the pad. Yesterday I started rolling some of this in with a compacting roller just to see, because this on this side here is a lot of fill, and this is just a work site area for the contractor to take his machine around the outside of the building, so it's nice and level, so they don't have any chance of tipping over or anything. See, there's a little stick or something caught underneath there. I'm gonna go get that out of there, and then we'll do a different shot from on the hillside. from this view, you can see it's a little bit better of what exactly is going on. And then as far as like the draw bar goes, I could pick it up to take a little bit of pressure off the front cutting edge. See it going up and down. Now it's not digging in as much. So over in this area, it's a little bit soft. So it was a low spot, so I had to fill it in. Then it rained, so it got a little bit muddy. But where it's harder down here, I can lower the draw bar so it digs in a little bit harder. We're actually going to probably use this in the future whenever we do a horse riding arena. I have some other beams at the shop that are a little bit lighter duty, but I don't believe we'll ever get rid of this on a farm. We'll always find something to do with it. The fields down below, they're way better than what they were, but they still, when you brush hog, they're really rough. So maybe in the future when I don't have anything to do, I could get more topsoil and do that down in the field and drag this around and make it a little bit more smoother. If anybody that has some construction experience sees me doing this for a work site pad, they're probably going to say this is a little overkill, but as far as I'm concerned, the more comfortable a contractor is, the easier you make it, the better off he's going to be and do a better job, because he can focus on your project versus getting equipment unstuck or people twisting ankles because there's ruts everywhere. So I'm just trying to make it smooth and level as possible before we put down some aggregate to keep them out of the mud. Projection on starting this is we really don't have one yet, to be honest. I actually talked to him on the phone yesterday, and he's super busy, and I'm the type of person I would rather wait for a good job than rush a bad one. So I'm not even going around and getting prices off anybody else. We didn't really narrow down a price yet, but I've met this guy through several good people, and I know he's just an honest person, and he's just trying to make a good living and support his family. He's not trying to get rich off one job. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to come to terms. We're just trying to figure out what the price of material and everything is going to be, and we're going to try to make the barn a little bit more fancy than the big blue barn. So well, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is just a quick demonstration of how I do site preparation on a building site area. Everybody has their own methods, but if you have any other suggestions, or if you have any suggestions on what we should do with this wall, I would appreciate it. And like always, please, if you're not subscribed to our channel, subscribe, like our videos, and share them. We're trying to grow this channel to help people with doing different things on their property and barns. Thanks.